Another one of the fundamental challenges in our time will be what to do with artificial intelligence. So recall in 1776, we had not just the Declaration of Independence in this country, but concurrently and coincidentally, unrelated, Adam Smith published The Wealth of Nations. And he argued against mercantilism, the notion that collectives or governments could manage their economies in the name of public welfare in an efficient way. His argument was that when government gets out of the way of individual economic decisions, the collective good is increased because each person seeks their own utility, or what a modern economic theorist might call their own utility function. And goods and services would be distributed across the world in a most efficient manner by means of the invisible hand. And the invisible hand was just a metaphor. It was saying that government's hand is visible, it's a dead weight, it can harm the economy, it reflects parochial and idiosyncratic interests. The invisible hand might unite the world. Well, so now we've got a global economy and talks about globalism and talks about global norms. And we've got global institutions trying to enforce their visions of the good, and you see populists' reactions to them in one place or another. But that I think is the epiphenomena. That's not really what's going on. I think what's going on is big data and the institutions that have access to it are now using AI to make visible the invisible hand, that Adam Smith talked about. And we have, some of us at least, an inchoate, implicit trust in AI to by way of machine learning, distribute goods and services rationally. I'm not so sure I agree with that. I think there's always an algorithm embedded in the machine, and that algorithm reflects biases and it reflects power. Look at the controversy over Facebook right now, and whether Facebook is truly in a neutral fashion, which would be a First Amendment standard, deciding who can speak or who can't, or whether it's reinforcing a certain vision of the good. So I think AI poses a threat. Globalism poses a threat. I would encourage your listeners to do as I've done this summer. I reread a lot of the dystopian classics, 1984, Brave New World, Fahrenheit 451. And in each of them, there was a group that had power, and they had the ability to impose their vision of the good on the rest of us. The protagonist in each side was discontent, was an individual, even in Atwood's Handmaid's Tale. The protagonist was always somebody who wanted a sense of significance. They wanted the ability to decide for themselves. So big data, AI may well make visible a maximally efficient vision of human society in the name of global norms. It could do so, however, without full employment, with leaving and marginalizing permanently some members of the population. I think it's that fear that inspires Antifa, groups like that. But when it does that, it's going to leave a bunch of us feeling discontented, because I don't really want to be fat and happy. I want to be significant, autonomous, and feel fully engaged in my life. And sometimes that's going to mean throwing sand into the computer's face and kicking the screen and turning it off. One of my favorite books I mentioned earlier was Augustine's Confessions. And there's a famous test in the AI community about how we know when computers resemble human intelligence. And in the 1940s, it was called the Turing test. You place a computer and a human behind a screen, and you have the computer communicate with the human. If the human can't tell the difference between the response of the machine or the human, then the machine resembles a human. Here's the new test for AI and AI engineers, and I don't hear anybody talking about it. I'll call it the Augustine test. What makes humans as individuals distinct is a sense of longing for significance. When we can create a machine that longs in the way that Augustine longed for unity with God or for righteousness in the Confessions, then I'll think AI resembles human intelligence. Until we reach that point, AI is a tool, and it's a tool being used to extinguish human liberty, and we need to fight back.